Her secret photo album exposed my wife's affair, and it wasn't with me. The attic smelled of dust and forgotten things, but what David found there was alive with betrayal. A hidden photo album, its pages filled with stolen moments that weren't his. Each snapshot was a dagger. Sarah, his wife of a decade, laughing in another man's arms, her eyes bright with a love she hadn't shown him in years. In the quiet of their Maplewood home, with their daughter asleep downstairs, David's world cracked open, and the truth spilled out like blood from a wound. The rain tapped softly against the windows of their Maplewood colonial, a gentle rhythm that belied the storm brewing in David's chest. It was a late Saturday afternoon in July 2025, and the house was quiet. Lily, their 8-year-old daughter, was curled up in her room, lost in a book about dragons. Sarah was out, supposedly at a book club, her absence a familiar ache David had learned to ignore. He'd climbed to the attic to find an old camping lantern for Lily's backyard sleepover next week, navigating boxes of Christmas decorations and forgotten toys. That's when he saw it. A small black photo album, tucked behind a crate of Sarah's college art supplies. Its cover unassuming but heavy with secrets. David hesitated, his fingers hovering over the album. Sarah was an open book, or so he'd thought. Her laughter filled their home, her herb garden thrived in the backyard, and her sketches adorned Lily's bedroom walls. They'd built a life here, in this ivy-clad house with creaky floors and a porch swing where they'd shared countless evenings, planning a future that felt certain. 10 years of marriage, a daughter who lit up their world, and memories of barbecues and quiet kisses. David had believed they were unbreakable, but the album called to him, a whisper of doubt too loud to ignore. He opened it, and his heart stopped. The first photo was innocent enough. Sarah at the local farmer's market, her green eyes sparkling under a straw hat, holding a basket of peaches. But the man beside her wasn't David. It was Ethan, their neighbor, a photographer who'd moved in across the street 2 years ago. His arm was around her waist, his smile too familiar. Page after page revealed more. Sarah and Ethan at a lakeside cafe, their hands brushing over coffee cups. A selfie in a park, her head on his shoulder. A candid of them dancing at a festival, her face alight with a joy David hadn't seen in months. The dates stamped on the photos stretched back a year, each one a moment stolen from the life David thought they shared. He sank to the attic floor, the album trembling in his hands. The air felt thick, suffocating, as memories flooded back. Sarah's late-night errands, her sudden interest in photography workshops, Ethan's casual visits to borrow tools or drop off homemade cider. David had trusted them, welcomed Ethan's easy charm, even invited him to Lily's birthday party. Now, those moments felt like lies, each smile a mask. He thought of Lily, her brown curls and gap-toothed grin, oblivious to the fracture threatening their family. The betrayal wasn't just Sarah's, it was Ethan's, a neighbor who'd shared their table, who'd played catch with Lily in the yard. When Sarah came home, her hair damp from the rain, David was waiting in the living room. The album lay open on the coffee table, its pages glaring under the lamplight. Her eyes widened, her keys slipping from her hand to clatter on the floor. "David," she whispered, her voice breaking, "I didn't mean for you to find that." He stood, his voice low, edged with pain. "You didn't mean for me to know you're in love with him." The words weren't a question. They were a truth, raw and undeniable. Sarah's tears came fast, her hands twisting in her sweater. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she said. "Ethan, he saw me, David. I've been so lost, and you're always working, and I—" "Stop!" David cut her off, his voice shaking. "You chose this. You chose him." He pointed to the album, the photos a silent jury. Sarah sank onto the couch, sobbing, her explanations tumbling out. Loneliness, a spark that grew into something she couldn't control, a promise she'd ended it weeks ago. But the photos told a different story. Their dates too recent, her smile too genuine. David's mind raced to Lily, asleep upstairs. her world still whole. How could he tell her the mother she adored had broken their family? How could Sarah, who kissed Lily's forehead every night, risk that love for stolen moments? He didn't yell. The anger was there, a fire in his chest, but grief smothered it. He asked Sarah to leave for the night, to give him space. She nodded, her face crumpled with regret, and packed a bag, heading to her sister's. The house felt emptier without her, the silence louder than the rain. David sat with the album, flipping through it again, each photo a fresh wound. He remembered Ethan's laugh at their summer barbecue, the way Sarah's eyes lingered on him. He'd thought it was friendship, neighborly warmth. Now it was betrayal, captured in glossy prints. The next morning, David confronted Ethan. He crossed the street to the man's craftsman-style house, its porch lined with potted ferns. Ethan opened the door, his easy smile faltering when he saw David's face. "You thought I wouldn't find out," David said, his voice steady but cold. Ethan didn't deny it. "I'm sorry, David," he said, his hands raised. "It's over. We never meant to hurt you." But the words were hollow, like the album's pages, proof of a truth David couldn't unsee. He didn't raise a fist, though the urge pulsed in his veins. Instead, he turned away, leaving Ethan in the doorway, the weight of silence heavier than any blow. Days blurred into weeks. Sarah returned, begging for forgiveness, promising therapy, swearing she'd cut Ethan out of her life. David agreed to try, not for her but for Lily, whose laughter still filled the house, unaware of the storm her parents navigated. They started counseling, their sessions a painful unraveling of missed signs and unspoken needs. Sarah admitted she'd felt invisible, her art dreams buried under motherhood, Ethan's attention a spark that reignited her. David saw his own absence, his late nights at the architecture firm, his assumption that love could coast. But trust was a fragile thing, and the album's images lingered in his mind, a gallery of what he'd lost. One evening, as summer faded into fall, David sat on the porch swing, Lily beside him, sketching a dragon under the glow of fairy lights. Sarah was inside, cooking dinner, her presence tentative but trying. The photo album was gone, burned in a backyard fire pit one sleepless night, its ashes scattered in the wind. David didn't know if he could rebuild what they'd had, or if love could mend a heart cracked by betrayal. But as Lily leaned against him, her pencil scratching paper, he felt a flicker of hope, a chance to heal, not for the past, but for the future they might still shape. The secret was out, the album's truth laid bare. Now, in the quiet of Maplewood, David chose to stay, to fight for the family he still wanted, one painful step at a time.